morning and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, September 20th. Thanks a lot for joining us. Jim Coyle with you. As always, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Lots to get to on the program today. Tom Brew's going to join us from Sports Illustrated. And, of course, it is a Toddfather Friday. Todd Leary is going to be joining us, as always. Looking forward to it. Lots to talk about. Lots going on the sports calendar this weekend. Indiana football, of course, taking center stage on Saturday at noon contest with UConn at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. Indiana looking to bounce back from the 51-10 thrashing at the hands of Ohio State last week. Lots of talk of bounce back and how they respond, and we'll certainly see. Of course, when it comes to the status of the quarterback, Michael Penix, still quote-unquote up in the air. I don't expect to see him. I don't think he's going to play. They don't need him. They're a 27, 28-point favorite. Here, while he needs the snaps, he probably needs the rest more to get healthy, because they need a healthy Michael Penix going in to East Lansing next weekend. As the Hoosiers get back to Big Ten play next week, as they travel to East Lansing to take on the Michigan State Spartans, who are themselves coming off of a spanking at the hands of Arizona State and Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. But, Indiana's going to need to be at full force when they go up there, because Michigan State's a beatable team. I mean, we'll talk about that all next week, but that's a winnable game, because you're going to run on them anyway. Indiana can't run, but you weren't going to run on them anyway. But if you can throw on them, yeah. Indiana needs Michael Penix, or they can't win that game. I don't think. Big Ten soccer, there's a day at Armstrong Stadium beginning at 3 o'clock. The women's program will be taking on Iowa as they open up Big Ten play. The Hoosiers looking good in the preseason, coming off a win over 5-0 Kentucky down in Lexington. Congratulations to the women as they open Big Ten play today against the Hawkeyes. And then that's at 3. And then following that contest at around 5:30, the men will open Big Ten play against the Badgers. Wisconsin comes to town. So Big Ten play getting underway in soccer on both sides today at Bill Armstrong. It's a double deuce, man. You can get them both. Baseball last night, the Cards and the Cubs renewed their rivalry again. A 5-4 win by the Cardinals in 10 innings. Whew. And that has great ramifications, because the Cubs are fighting for a playoff spot. I think they may be a game out right now of the wild card spot. I'm not sure. Or maybe I think they're a game out of the wild card spot, but I'm not positive. I don't have that pulled up. But they're a game behind Milwaukee in the Central standings. I know that, who are behind the Cardinals. The Cubs fighting for a wild card spot. Some great battles going on. This is when baseball gets fun. This is when it picks up. It's just kind of like everything. The NBA, a lot of people just watch the NBA for the playoffs. And then NFL action last night, the Jaguars, they surprised me, man. The Jaguars thumped the Titans 20-7. How about Gardner Minshew, the stash? He throws for 2 touchdowns. Marcus Mariota threw for over 300 yards for the Jags, but it was not enough. I was impressed by Minshew, man. It's kind of a fun game to watch. It was surprising. I thought the Titans were going to put it on them. They did not. Tulane beat Houston 38-31 last night in college football. And take a minute to think about Houston, man. Send the Bears their way. My goodness gracious. Have you seen any of the news down there? The tropical storm is just killing them. Houston's is sea level as it is. And they are just getting dumped on. Floods all over the place, cars bouncing around. It's crazy. Lightning strike. Did you see the lightning strikes? Oh, gosh, there was a video. It was the most wicked lightning strike I'd ever seen in my life. But they're getting pounded by lightning as well. Hey, this weekend for Indiana's football game against UConn on Saturday, don't forget the BTN tailgate party will be going on right outside the west entrance to Assembly Hall. That's the side, of course, between Assembly Hall and Memorial Stadium. Dave Repson and crew former IU coach Jerry DiNardo, Howard Griffith. They'll all be there. It's kind of, I guess it's kind of their college game day deal. But that'll be kind of a unique setup. I'll be honest with you, I'm worried about what the crowd is going to be like, since Indiana receives poor support, poor fan support. And it's sad, to be honest with you. I know people would like to see a team that wins all the time, but if you're not, that's just called a fair weather fan. And everybody has those, but my gosh, that's the bulk of Indiana's fanship. Fair weather. There's too many people that stay out in the parking lots tailgating. I'd really like to see people start going into the games, man. It's just, these kids work their butt off. So give them the support they need. The students have been coming out in force, but that's because, like many schools now, the school has a way of tracking student participation in sporting events. It's great because it gets them out to events like volleyball and wrestling, men's and women's soccer. It gets them out to the Olympic sports. But as of right now, Indiana doesn't have a way of tracking when these students leave, because last week's football game against Ohio State, the student section was packed. Packed. By halftime, the student section was empty. They made their appearance and they left. Then went back to tailgating. Now, I get the argument that, and I could argue both sides, it's chicken and the egg. You got to put a winning product on the field. Yeah, I understand that. But the students just left in mass. They need to stay. I mean, come on, man. Stay to the fourth quarter. Hopefully it'll be a much different result this Saturday as the Hoosiers taking on a undermanned UConn team that they are the Hoosiers are a 27-point favorite the last I saw. We met with Coach Tom Allen yesterday. We'll hear from that in our next segment. But he did bring up the status of Michael Penix. I asked him about that. He was asked by other people about it. And they're not telling us much, and I don't think they're going to tell us much. Here's the first.
Today and tomorrow, we'll do some things with him.
This question is the status of Michael Penix.
Yeah, we'll probably know more today and tomorrow. We'll do some things with him. In terms of evaluation-wise, I think will really help us a lot to get a good gauge. So don't know exactly the status for Saturday yet. And we should know more here pretty soon.
So you didn't know the status for Saturday. I don't expect to see him play. I really don't. He was also asked if he'd been able to practice this week.
So we got he's been participating some, but not much. So we got certain roles that we have him do and things as a part of practice. But no, right now it's been a major emphasis on the rehab piece, and then a major emphasis on the mental piece of getting in there. Rehab.
Yeah. Major emphasis on the rehab piece and the mental piece. Not sure what all that means, but I don't expect to see him against a UConn team unless he is completely healthy. And with that much doubt going in 2 days,
Looks like we've lost Jim here for a couple seconds. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Rain Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Quit holding out and draw another breath.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday, TGIF. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, is going to join us at 20 minutes past the next hour. Tom Brew will also join us from Sports Illustrated Indiana after that. Lots to get to. Big football weekend. Lots of games to get to. Before we do that, Tom Allen met with the media discussing everything that's going on with the team, what's coming up, Michael Penix, et cetera, et cetera. Let's hear what Coach Allen had to say.
Well, it's been a good week. Really proud of our guys, the way they've handled a setback and the way they approached Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, and then today was a really, really sharp day today. So that's what you have to do. You have to look yourself in the mirror and face the things that you need to get fixed and press on together. And I thought the energy and the focus and the leadership of our older guys was what it needed to be, and we just got to keep working hard every day. So excited to get us back on the field and get a chance.
Obviously, the biggest question is the status of Michael Penix.
Yeah, we'll probably know more today and tomorrow. We do some things with him in terms of evaluation-wise that I think will really help us a lot to get a good gauge. So don't know exactly the status for Saturday yet, but we should know more here pretty soon.
Coach, you kind of talked about Cam Jones a few times in the last couple of weeks, but has he kind of really, in the way that he's tried to get back on the field, has he kind of set the tone in some type of way for the locker room when it comes to situations?
He has, because I talked about him again yesterday in a team meeting, because just using him as an example, because here's the reality: you go through, and he's still young, and he did something that, injuries are part of this game. I mean, it's just part of it, and that will never cease to be the case. And so to show and have a guy you can say, this is how it's done, and it also makes our guys realize, the quality of trainers and doctors that we have working with our guys. And if you just buy into doing everything exactly like we ask you to do, and I would say, and then some. He took the and then some part, and he went to where he was so determined to get back and play. And like I said, injuries are a tough thing, and everybody's different. Every injury's a little different. That was his ankle, and but still, I mean, it was not pretty optimistic that he was going to play.
Practice this week in terms of the problems that you need to address?
Yeah, first of all, spent a lot of time on run fits on defense, and even again today, and just even adjusting things we're doing schematically to address it, as well as worked on more on tackling drills, did an additional tackling drill that we created off of some of the mistakes we've had, and then to me, so that was the overemphasis on fixing the fits, the tackling, and shoring up that part of the defense. And then to me, run game, just trying to continue to, spend time in the offensive line meeting room and talking to different guys and just meeting with, just trying to get those things fixed, and it's schematic things we're working on through and trying to adjust and tweak, and then just also sustain our blocks, being finishers on those blocks, which sometimes what it comes down to, and getting a great push and get off, and working on our double teams, and working on just trusting, and the thing about our line play that's so unique about it is it is a chemistry-driven group, and as those guys work together, and if you really think about the group, when you take out your last year's right tackle and left guard, you took away the guys that work together. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that sometimes you maybe have the whole left side back or the whole right side back, but we had, so where they're all kind of working together side by side. And I just think that does take time, so we just got to get better at that. And they got their communication and they're trusting each other, and they're being able to whether it's a combo or whether, scoop, cut off, all the different kind of blocks that they use, and the communication that they have to have. So just another week getting better at it, working on it, isolating some things, trying to do some things to help and make it better schematically and structurally. And so those are the two key things we really addressed. Worked really, really hard on this week. But now right now has been a major emphasis on the rehab piece, and then a major emphasis on the mental piece of getting him ready to go.
As far as the running game, have you been able to identify really what the actual issues have been for you guys?
Well, the bottom line is I do feel like that we have not gotten a lot of separation up front. Okay, so it's the push off the football, and to me is create structural answers to make them pay for overloadness. That to me is what I want to really see us do a better job of being able to take advantage of the perimeter and take advantage of the matchups that those create. And to me, that's the two key things that stick out to me. As I go through and watch it, which I do a lot. Went through last night and watched I go through, obviously I see it practice, and I watch all the defensive reps with the defensive staff, and then I watch all the offensive reps myself, and some of that I see it live. But going back and watching all the reps of practice, which that's about 60 reps on each side of the football, 2 separate days combined, so you're talking about a whole bunch of plays, 240-some plays of just watching and go back and taking notes and just making sure we're going through and getting things fixed up and cleaned up. So I just feel like that to me is just, the push, the working together, knowing when to stay on a double team, when to come off on a double team, whenever to, even in the pass pro things that we had some trouble with on Saturday. And I just think that's, just continuing to work through it, and I want to see us getting the ball on the perimeter. I think that to me is a big help to get some pressure off the core. That's what we're really trying to emphasize.
Is it surprising to you how much teams have loaded up the box? Even going back to Ball State,
considering
the passing numbers you guys had last year, what you brought back in the past game, does it surprise you how much people have?
Yeah, they have, and then I think, but when someone does it and then has some level of success with it, I think then everybody starts copying it, So, but yeah, it has surprised me a little bit. But I guess, you come back and you like Stevie, and there's just so much emphasis on taking him away. And so that's what they've been over determined to do. And so, yeah, it's probably more than I would have thought in the beginning.
You talked about giving up the defensive reins and kind of asked me later in terms of how it feels. And give up as many points as you did last week. I mean, is that hard?
Well, it didn't feel very good on Saturday. Let me tell you that. Okay, and so, but here's the thing, though, and this is what I don't ever want to do, and I haven't, is I don't second guess a call that we did. Now, I'm going through and working really hard. We made some changes now, okay, and some things that I just said I want to do this. I want to see us do this, this, and this. And I'm not calling it, but I did. I've stepped in because this is what I do and everything. And so, but at the same time, it's because I wanted us to be able to do what we need to do against the very best on our schedule. And so, yeah, it was not a whole lot of fun, not being the one calling it in that kind of situation because at the end of the day, I'm responsible. So, I do feel still like that it's just helped in so many ways for me to be able to be a better head coach. Even this week, addressing both sides of football, special teams, meeting with players, getting time with them. Those are things we have to do, as well as getting the defense right. So, first couple weeks, work through things, but I expect us to kind of settle down a little bit this week here and then get back into our flow of being where we want to be.
I don't want to get ahead because Big Ten play starts the following week, the trip to East Lansing. What do you need to see from your team this week on both offense and defense to feel good about going into Big Ten?
Yeah, for me, being crisp and sharp. And what that means to me is, yes, creating seams in the run game, okay, and then the play action that we have off of that. To me, just that the rhythm of that is what I want to see. I want to see our offense in a good rhythm where we have good ability to feel like we can keep that defense off balance and stay out of those long yardage situations. Stay on schedule, as we like to say on that side of the ball. And then defensively, it's stopping the run and being great finishers as tacklers. And that to me is if we see that and I'll feel a whole lot different about things than I did, obviously, the last couple of days from this last experience. So those things that stick out to me. And then consistency in our kicking game. I just want to make sure our specialists are competing at a high level, performing at a high level, and the quality of our kicks and our returns. Our return game has been improved. We got to keep doing a better job with that. That's a big part of field position and things we need to do. So those things on offense, on defense, and then being sharp on special teams.
Marcus Elliott got his first sack this last week. How do you see him continuing?
He's really and he's had a good week of practice this week. I think he's a guy that we knew he as a true freshman played at a high level. At the junior college he came from was one of the best in the country, and he was in their rotation, and so played in the national championship game, a whole bunch of reps, and so just. Thought he could come in here and help us, and he has. I just think it's also learning a new system. He came in late, wasn't even here the entire summer. So but just getting him. But he's got a burst to him that really sticks out on film, and he has really good technique, and he plays super hard, and he cares a whole bunch. So he's been a great addition to our team. Really, very excited to have him.
Talking about kickoff returns, what's next for David? It feels like, you said you felt like he's been close to breaking a couple open.
Just get one. We haven't. I think they said Tevin Coleman's the last one to run one back. So I've challenged our office. Hey, our house call unit this week. Let's get one. He's been close and he's had some, here and there, and so let's because once you get him into the, the heart of that unit, then it's about making one guy miss and go score. So I want to see him take one back to the house. That's my next step for him.
We talk about kind of inserting yourself a little more in terms of is it game planning? Is it telling Kane and wanting to blitz at these certain situations? Or what types of things
it's more, I would say, I'm still going to probably shy away from, hey, call this right now. Hey, call this. Because there's a rhythm you get into. Now, we'll definitely talk about it when we're in between, halftime adjustments, when we're off the field on the headset. I know how it feels when you're in the middle of a game and someone says, hey, call this. I try and stay away from that. Now there are times when, I say, hey, we need pressure. Boom, he'll dial up the pressure he feels is the best. So, but to me, it's structural things. That's been a lot of, hey, how are we gonna defend this? I want us to look like this. Or I want us to line up like this. I want us to play this type of technique. That's some things that we've made some adjustments with that he's, hey, we're all on board with it. And that's the thing. This is what's so neat about our staff. And I say this, and we had this conversation with our guys, and because I came in, I was upset on Sunday. It was a rough some rough meetings with our coaches because I wasn't happy with the way we performed. We just didn't. And at the end of the day, it's my responsibility. So, but during those hard conversations, as I have said from the very beginning, the LEO concept isn't just the players. Okay, it's us too as coaches. And when it's not about me, and I don't care who gets the credit, it's about what do we got to do to be our best. So you don't take it personal. but you're going to work your tail off to make sure your area is right. And if it's not right, we got to fix it. And that to me is when the coaches know that I care more about them as a person and as a coach and as a guy that just works for me. Okay, it's more than that for us as a coaching staff. And so you don't take it personal, but you have so much pride in what you're all about, and you care so much about the guys around you as coaches that you want to get it right. And it's an emotional thing because we work so hard and we sacrifice so much to get where we are. And to me, we just we had an opportunity and we just didn't take advantage of it. And really, it was very disappointing for sure. But at the same time, I really think that situation, that experience is going to make us better. And that's the way I want to approach it, and that's the way we have approached it. And that's, as I said, I'm excited about what's going to make us from what we just experienced and the way that we didn't perform. And so those are kind of tough conversations we're having. But it's just coming together, trying to find what we got to do to be at our best for us to win Big Ten football games, which is our goal.
What are the words that came up in the post game from some of the players were complacent? If that can happen that early in the season, how can you work to keep that from happening?
Oh, there's no doubt. And to me, that's a little immaturity, and to hear even that thought process, coming out of the first couple of games. But I think at the same time, this is where even it's a great reminder of the youth that we do have, and as I told our coaches that you sometimes take certain things for granted, okay, but at the same time, you can't when you're young. And I think it's just a great reminder of just how purposeful we have to be as a staff in everything that we do with our guys and the mindset that they have. And the reality is that there's a significant difference, in conference play, so being able to work through that, grow through that, realize even when you start having, a little bit of success, how do you learn, how do you handle that piece of it? And that's part of the growth process, learning how to be successful, learning how to win. Just like you have to learn how to, fight back through setbacks, and those disappointments that you face in life. And so I just think it's just continue to teach these guys how to have a good performance one week and come back and have a better one the next week.
Does that speak to the 80 of your 113 players are underclassmen?
I know. And that's what it is, and absolutely. And you can't, sometimes you forget because a lot of these guys, they might have played last year, but they're sophomores. Sophomores are still young, and I just think that, we had a good conversation. One of our true freshman offensive linemen, he's young, and a lot of even a guy like Simon, he spent 2 years on the scout team before he ever even played, and Caleb Jones is his third year here. And now he's finally getting a chance to play. And then Matt Bedford is just, a young guy, so you got to bring those guys because he's a guy, he's the next snap, he's in the game, right now. And so just continue to teach those guys. And like I said, even some of those guys like the Cam Jones of the world, he's a sophomore, and he's young. And those guys need to continue to be mentored and modeled, and we're not an old football team by any means, and so that's part of to get to be consistent. There's a maturity to that, at all positions and as a football team, and that's where we got to get to.
That was Tom Allen talking to reporters as the Hoosiers prepare for this week's game to get ready against UConn and bounce back from that loss last week. The status of Michael Penix, of course, you heard there. I don't expect to see him play. It's just been too much ambiguity. I think they're going to rest him for next week's game, a very winnable game next week. But we got a lot more coming up. It's a big day for Indiana soccer as they kick off things in Big Ten play of both sides, men's and women's. We'll hear from Todd Leary today. Of course, the Toddfather joins us at 20 minutes past the hour next, as well as Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Lots more coming up. We're here from Todd Yeagley as well. So stay tuned. We got a lot more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday, September 20th. Hope your week's been good and you're ready for a weekend because it's here, whether you're ready or not. Lots going on this weekend. Today, out at Bill Armstrong Stadium, the men's and women's soccer programs kick off Big Ten play as the women will be taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes at 3 o'clock. If you're out and about, head on over to Bill Armstrong. Then at around 5:30, the men's program will kick off Big Ten play against the Wisconsin Badgers. AJ Palazzo talks about that very thing.
Good job. Big Ten play. We're pumped. We're already looking forward to Friday and trying to start off on the right note. And, last year we went 8-0 in the Big Ten, and we expect to do that again. We're excited, and, we'll be ready come Friday.
8-0 in Big Ten play last year. That's the only team to ever do that. Indiana's the only team to ever go 8-0 with all wins. They won. There was no ties. It's kind of like the 76 Hoosiers, man. And also, was it the 92 squad? The 92 squad lost one game to Ohio State. Oh, that's right. What Alan Henderson went down. That team was poised to do what no other Big Ten team had done since the 76 team. You don't think that team wasn't good? Gosh, darn it. The Toddfather was a key member of that squad. That stuff bothers me. I can't imagine being a player. That would just eat at me. I hate those kinds of losses. Those reasons. Text into the show. If Penix does not play and Ramsey gives us a decent lead, do you think Tuttle plays? Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I don't see any reason why unless they're trying to make a show, why Tuttle doesn't play the entire second half. You should be handily taking care of this team by the end of the first half. Get Tuttle the reps. He needs them. Ramsey doesn't need them. He is what he is. He's not going to get any better. We're too far into this. He's at his ceiling right now. You're seeing his ceiling. Tuttle needs the experience. Again, Ramsey's not the future of that program, no matter what happens with Penix. Another text in the show, we need to get Reese Taylor involved in the offense. You know, that's with this particular team right now, I would possibly agree with that. But with Michael Penix as quarterback, I completely disagree with that. They don't. Where are you going to put him? You're not going to put him wide receiver because you've already got so many guys that are way better than wide receiver. You're not going to put him at running back because you got way too many guys that are better at running back. You're not going to put him at tight end. I mean, you're not going to put him at quarterback. So I don't know where you would put him. But right now, the way how the offense stands, it's not a bad thought. But the thing is, you can't go back and forth. They've made a commitment to make him a defensive back, which is probably the best route for him as far as his future pro prospects. I think that's something he could possibly do as a career. There were some games last night. Tulane and Houston. Jake, you saw something in that game you brought up that always brings back another painful memory. Tulane kicked a field goal that it goes over the upright, like over top of it, above it, because the college uprights are shorter than the NFLs. If you look at the NFLs, my gosh, they look like jousting poles going up into the air so far up. College, I don't know if they're half as tall, but they're not nearly as tall. And back in the Pinstripe Bowl, what was that, 2015? Indiana kicks a field goal to win the game at the end over Duke, and it goes over the upright, and they called it no good, costing Indiana a bowl win. But last night, they gave it to the Tulane kicker, which I think is fine. I mean, I think that if it's, if they want to extend the uprights, extend the uprights. Other than that, you give it to them. You can't rule something no good just because it goes through an imaginary line. Cost Indiana a bowl game, man. A bowl win, rather.
Griffin Oaks said, sheesh, I must have caught my ref on a bad day.
Oh, did he comment on that?
Yeah, he tweeted about it. He quoted Pat McAfee.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But there's a lot of good games going on this weekend. None bigger than number 11 Michigan traveling to take on the Badgers of Wisconsin, number 13 Wisconsin. That's Fox's noon game. That's their big one. I'm sure Mr. Gus is up in Madison, Wisconsin right now. We were fortunate to have him here in Bloomington last week, fortunate to have him on the show last Friday. But a lot of good games on schedule. But, man, that's one I definitely would like to see, but I can't because I'll be at the Indiana-UConn game. A lot of ranked teams in action. Number 1, Clemson. They are hosting Charlotte. I guess my brother will be down there. He's the head of security for Charlotte. He's a state trooper down there. They get to go to some great games, at least, because Charlotte is one of those schools. They've been trying to build a Division I program. They just get paid to go places. They played at Tennessee, at Kentucky, at Louisville, here at Clemson. I'm trying to think where all I know the games at Miami, I think. Man, they have just traveled. But they've gotten better and better. Charlotte right now, 2-1 on the season. Things looking up for them. Texas and Oklahoma State. There you go. Red River battle. Number 12, Texas. 2-1 against the 3-0 Oklahoma State Mike Gundy squad. The mullet. The big game Saturday night. How about Georgia hosting Notre Dame? That's on CBS. Man, you rarely see it Notre Dame on CBS. The Bulldogs, number 3 in the country. Notre Dame, number 7. We'll see if Notre Dame's overranked a little bit. A little overhyped. How about Arizona State jumping into the rankings after that big win over the Spartans last week? They're number 24. They're hosting Colorado. They're a touchdown favorite. The Cougars of Washington State and Mike Leach host UCLA this weekend. They're number 19, and they're an 18.5-point favorite over the Bruins. Oregon goes to Stanford. Oregon's number 16. Stanford's unranked right now. TCU, who fresh off a beatdown of Purdue, they're a 9.5-point favorite over SMU. Number 22, Washington, travels to BYU. Central Florida, number 15, travels to Pittsburgh, who gave Penn State a heck of a game. So there's all kinds of good games. Auburn. Ooh, here's another one. 3:30 game. Auburn at Texas A&M. Auburn's number 8 in the country. The Aggies, 17. But the Aggies are a 3.5-point favorite in that 3:30 contest. The Buckeyes of Ohio State are home to Miami of Ohio, where they are a 38.5-point favorite. Florida, Tennessee line. Oh, it's Florida-Georgia line, isn't it? Just kidding. Florida's hosting the Volunteers, who are 1-2. Florida, the Gators are a 2-touchdown favorite. Number 4, LS travels to Vanderbilt. So a lot of good games to check out. You even got a game tonight. 2 games tonight as number 10, Utah, traveling to Southern California to take on USC. The Utes are a field goal and a half, 3.5-point favorite. The Air Force travels to Smurf Turf, the Boise State. The Broncos, ranked 20th. They're a touchdown favorite over the Cadets. So lots to get to, but of course tonight, high school football night. Get out and see a high school football game. Don't sit at home and watch college football. Go out and watch a high school football game. Oh, there was a story. I went to Floyd Central High School, which is in southern Indiana. And I saw a story the other day about a running back that they have. And Floyd Central's had some great running backs over the years. They've had guys that Cal Bramble that led the state. I couldn't think of his name yesterday. Cal Bramble led the state in rushing a few years back. But even back all the way back to when I was in school, it's always great running backs. I don't know why. It's weird. There's no reason. No rhyme or reason, but it's just a fact. But they got a kid now. I first saw his stats pop out of my head when he rushed for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns against Providence a few weeks back. Then they played New Albany last week. I think he had another 350-yard rushing game. I don't know how, 4 or 5 touchdowns. The dude is just, he's got 1,000 yards in 4 games. That's a 250 yards per game average. But he had 2 300-yard rushing games. Those are dream games, man. He's already had 2. We're only 4 games into the season. He should easily eviscerate the 2,000-yard mark. There was a cool story on him, though. He's from Haiti. Was adopted as a young kid because of the conditions down there. An unbelievably well-spoken kid. A shocker. And just a cool story, man. Check that out. The Highlanders, go. Pretty awesome. Mark D'Antonio's in a little bit of hot water. There was an issue with someone that was a player that was charged with sexual assault that allegations are being made now that multiple assistant coaches told D'Antonio not to take this kid because of his behavior, and he did it anyway. And then, of course, trouble follows. I'm not a D'Antonio fan. I'm not going to hide it. I think he's a dirtbag. I think he continues to prove that he's a dirtbag. After losing to Arizona State last week, Herm Edwards at the midfield was trying to do the midfield handshake, and D'Antonio didn't want nothing to do with it. He wanted nothing to do. Herm is trying to talk to him. He was literally chasing him down. Years ago when Morgan Ellison was running back for Indiana, and he's on the bottom of a pile, and one of the Michigan State players is just punching Ellison in the throat. Disgusting. But that's what I think that's the kind of brand of football I think he teaches. Then you got a couple of years later when Michigan State was in Bloomington, I guess it was the very next year, and they had that kid that had been arrested like 7 times for the same charges. He gets arrested like the few days before the Indiana game, and his punishment is he sits out 1 play because D'Antonio's gutless. I just think he's a dirtbag. That's my opinion on D'Antonio. Maybe they'll get beat this week. Who do the Spartans play this week? Yeah, that's a good question. Who are they tuning up the Hoosiers with?
Northwestern.
Ooh. They have lost 3 or 4 straight to Northwestern. That could be very, very interesting. See how that turns out. Looking forward to having Todd Leary on today, as always. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Indiana football situation. Texts continue to come into the show. He's responding to what I was talking about, that kid Winker's right. I bet St. X and Trinity come calling for him as a senior like they did Moore from New Albany that went to Purdue. Yeah, there's some schools in Louisville, the big Catholic schools, and that's kind of always weird to me. In Kentucky's dominated by these big Catholic schools. That's not the case in Indiana. Indiana's privates or public schools are as good as anything. Ben Davis, Carmel, Warren Central. It's Kentucky sports there's so much dominance by those Catholic schools, but they can recruit, for one thing, basically recruit. I know the women's sports are dominated by the Catholic schools. Trinity is a constant top team in football, have been for a power. I'm surprised that did not happen in Indianapolis, but it's the opposite. They got lots of great teams, and it moves around for the public school side. So, if you're in the Bloomington area today, make sure you head out to Bill Armstrong Stadium as the men's and women's soccer programs both getting underway in the Big Ten play as the women taking on Iowa at 3. At 5:30, you've got the men taking on Wisconsin. Indiana basketball recruiting, of course, we're still in the live period. Archie and crew are out hitting the trail. Of course, Dawson Garcia cut his list down to 7. And before I forget, Eric Anderson's to be inducted in the IU Hall of Fame tonight. He's a 2-time Big Ten champion. He headlines the 38th class of inductees to be enshrined into the IU Athletics Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he passed away last December at the age of 48. A great teammate of a good friend Todd Leary, who will be joining us here later. We'll talk about Eric, Big E. Tell some fun stories. The dude was a character. He was so loved. 6 members total will be inducted in the annual Hall of Fame dinner. They will also be recognized at halftime of tomorrow's football game with UConn. That'll bring the grand total enshrined in the Hall of Fame at 237. The other 5 that'll be going in, Kay Burris, who was a field hockey coach from 62 to 74 and 75 and 6. Women's basketball coach, 63 to 67. Kay got around. Chris Gartner, football player from 70 to 72. Jeff Overton, men's golf, PGA Pro. He was here from 2002 to 05. Rose Richmond, women's track and field from 2000 to 03. And Donnie Thomas from the 73 to 75 football squad. But the highlight is no doubt Eric Anderson. Like I said, he was a member of 2 Big Ten championship teams, including that 92 Final Four squad that I talked about. Undoubtedly should have won a national championship. Golly, it hurts to talk about it. He was one of the most prolific front court players in IU basketball history. He's one of only 4 players in program history to score more than 1,700 points and pull down at least 800 rebounds, joining Alan Henderson, Kent Benson, and Don Schlunt in accomplishing that feat. He currently ranks 11th in program history in scoring with just over 1,700 points, 1,715. He's 8th in rebounds at 825 and 8th in block shots at 136. During his 4 seasons, IU went 101 and 31. That's 76% winning percentage, folks. He was the 1989 Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He was the first team All Big Ten choice in 91. He was the most outstanding player of the West Regional during a 92 Final Four run. He spent 2 seasons with the New York Knicks, 92-94. And like I said, unfortunately passed away at the age of 48 last December. Bob Knight said Eric was an outstanding player for us right from the start, a 4-year starter who was instrumental on some excellent championship teams and a good friend to all those guys who played with him. From Archie Miller, I really appreciate how he embraced me coming to IU, communicated after games. Him coming back last year to our reunion game and then this June to French Lick was awesome. Dan Dockett says Eric embodied everything an IU basketball player should be. He was an incredible, tough, hard-nosed competitor, a fun, engaging personality off the floor, and a fantastic father that always was ready for a great time. Calbert Cheney said Eric was an unbelievable player, but more importantly, an unbelievable person and friend. He always lit up a room with his energy and smile. As a basketball player, he's one of the best I've ever played with. Unselfish, caring, and did whatever it took to help us win. The consummate teammate. Always a positive presence on and off the floor. Pat Graham. We came in as one of the most celebrated recruiting classes and Big E was freshman of the year before we got there. None of us, including Calvert himself, knew just how good Cal was or was going to be. E was our guy. He was taking over with Jay Edwards' departure as our best player. With today's egos, it would be expected that there would be issues, but with Eric, there were none. No issues, no egos, no jealousy. That was just who Big E was. He was the perfect teammate and let everything just slide off his back. He took a lot of heat over his time at IU, not so much because of his play, but for others. He never complained. He knew if we won, it just made things easier. He didn't care who got the attention or the ink. One of the best teammates I ever had with the privilege of playing with. Better person than player at IU. It was a Christmas Day practice during my senior year in high school. My dad and I walk in and I see E has number 32. Well, that was my number in high school, so I was like, damn, don't get that number next year. I never heard this story. A few years later, it comes up, and I told him that story. He said, I should have said something. He was 55 in high school because it was the biggest jersey. Said numbers didn't mean much, and then he would have taken another one. Not many guys would have thought about giving up a number. He didn't get caught up in all the little things. No ego whatsoever. Yeah, what a great guy. I got one of my favorite stories. I don't think I can tell it on the air, but he's one of my favorites. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. The Toddfather, Todd Larry, joins us at 20 minutes past the hour. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us as well. Plenty to talk about with IU football, basketball, recruiting, and all that. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, coming along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks a lot for joining us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I'm Jim Coyle, as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track here on this Friday, September 20th. We've made it through another week, heading toward the weekend. A lot going on the IU sports calendar. Can't get to all of it. Soccer today, starting at 3 o'clock. The women are taking center stage out of Bill Armstrong Stadium as they open a Big Ten play against the Iowa Hawkeyes. That'll be followed by the men taking on the Wisconsin Badgers around 5:30 as both squads open up Big Ten play today out at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Of course, Indiana football tomorrow at noon against UConn. You got the Big Ten tailgate party coming to town. Dave Rebson, Howard Griffith, and former Indiana coach Jerry DiNardo will be set up on the west side of the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. That's between the Assembly Hall and the Memorial Stadium for all you directionally challenged folks. But that's kind of a cool deal to hang out. See, it's kind of like the college game day, their college game day deal. Indiana, of course, taking on UConn at noon. That'll be broadcast on BTN. Lots of questions about the Indiana football team. Where are they? Lots of questions on the status of Michael Penix. Everybody wants to know. I don't expect to see him play personally. I think they hold him out. Unless he was completely healthy, they won't play him. And the fact that it's been so much ambiguity, so much talk, that there's no way he's completely healthy. Here's what Coach Allen had to say.
This question is the status of Michael Penix.
Yeah, we'll probably know more today and tomorrow. We'll do some things with him in terms of evaluation-wise. I think will really help us a lot to get a good gauge. So don't know exactly the status for Saturday yet, but we should know more here pretty soon.
That was Coach Tom Allen talking about his availability, not knowing much. And then he was asked if he had practiced much. John Blau from Bloomington Herald Times asked him if he'd been able to practice this week. And here's what Coach had to say.
Yeah, no, he's been participating some, but not much. So we got certain roles that we have him do and things as a part of practice. But no, right now it's been a major emphasis on the rehab piece, and then a major emphasis on the mental piece of getting him ready. Yeah.
So if he hasn't practiced, he's not going to play. They're not going to. If he's not healthy, they're not going to put him out there against a UConn team that they're a 27-point favorite over. Then we had a question, a text earlier. If Ramsey gets a comfortable lead, will we see Tuttle? Well, you better see Tuttle. The opportunities are rare that you get to get this many quarterbacks into a game and get them some reps, some quality reps. This is invaluable for a kid like Jack Tuttle. And I'll be honest with you, it's wasted on Peyton Ramsey. And I mean that. What I mean by that is he's at his ceiling. We've seen what his best. We know what that is. Jack Tuttle's the guy you got to develop. But he's a different style of quarterback. He's kind of a head scratcher of a recruit, not because he's not good, because he is. He's a hell of a quarterback, but he's a drop back passer. And Tom Allen has stated numerous times he likes a dual, pretty much a guy that can run. Well, I promise you, Jack Tuttle's not running anywhere, but that's okay. He's a pro style quarterback. But having Michael Penix back this week is not critical. It's important, but it's important because of this. He's only played a game, and not even a game and a half. He does not even have a game and a half of experience as a starter. He played the Ball State game, then he got hurt in the Eastern Illinois game before halftime and hasn't played since. And if Indiana's going to have success this season, go to a bowl game, it has to be with Michael Penix. I think they can go 4-8 if Ramsey ends up being the quarterback. They might win 5 games. But I cannot see him in any stretch of the imagination winning more than 5. If they can get Michael Penix back, I still think they can win 8 games. As crazy as that sounds. You got to put that Ohio State beatdown out of your mind. Number one, that's the best team they're going to see all season. They're not going to be challenged like that again. The biggest worry is the offensive line because, let's be honest, they haven't done jack squat. They are not nearly as good as I had hoped and thought that they would be on that line. We knew that they're not deep, but man, they're not getting anything open. Stevie Scott rushed for 1,100 yards last year as a true freshman. He didn't forget how to run.
But man, oh man, they've got to get that. Now, the good thing is going into next week, it wouldn't matter. You're going against one of the toughest defenses around, especially against the run. But you have to be able to throw the ball. They're so susceptible to throwing the ball. That is why you desperately need Michael Penix back. With Michael Penix, they have a chance to win next week. Without him, I don't think they do. But that's just my opinion on that. Be quiet, Coach. Had a text into the show and I lost it. Sorry about that. But feel free to hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367 on the program today. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, joins us in the next segment. Tom Brew will be after that from Sports Illustrated in Indiana. Hall of Fame inductions tonight in Indiana. The Big E. The Big E, Eric Anderson going in. Read quite a few comments from former teammates of his. Here's one from Damon Bailey. Eric was a very fun-loving, laid-back guy. I was very fortunate to be able to play with him for 2 years at IU and a year in the CBA. Eric always had a way of putting things in perspective, whether it was good times or bad. Jeff Oliphant said he's a great teammate, roommate, and friend. It was impossible for anyone to not like being around the Big E. Of course, Jeff Oliphant was almost a while back. His daughter, Sophie, playing volleyball for the Hoosiers right now. But the Big E going into the Indiana Athletics Hall of Fame tonight, along with 5 others, Kay Burris, Chris Gardner, pro golfer Jeff Overton, Rose Richmond, and Donnie Thomas. They'll be recognized tomorrow at halftime of the football game. But man, oh man, was he fun. One of these days, I'm going to tell this story. It's not really a story on him. He's just in the story. I guess I could tell and leave a name out, couldn't I? It's not as fun, though. I was one of 4 people, me, Eric Anderson. Well, I'm not going to tell it. Never mind, I can't do it. Maybe I'll get brave enough to tell it one day. It's just funny. There's nothing bad. But it's pretty funny, but it involved a bar. So leaving a bar, helping someone leave a bar on their 21st birthday. And it was not Eric's, but he was also just someone that helped. It was just funny that how it went down. Bob Knight said Eric was an outstanding player for us right from the start, a 4-year starter who was instrumental on some excellent championship teams and a good friend to all those guys who played with him. That's about as succinct and right as you can make it. He was a good friend to all those guys. Every one of these guys loved him. I mean, he may have been one of the most beloved teammates that those guys had. I've just never heard anything other than what a great guy he was to be around. Tulane Houston last night. Jake brought up earlier that Tulane gets a field goal that goes over the uprights, much like the Griffin Oaks shot in the Pinstripe Bowl, I think in 2015, that was called no good and cost Indiana a bowl win. What did Griffin Oaks say, Jake?
He said, sheesh, I must have caught my ref on a bad day.
Yeah, it seems that's Indiana's luck, man. The breaks just don't seem to go their way. Don't forget the Big Ten tailgate party is going on tomorrow, 2 hours before the kickoff, 10 a.m. to noon. West side of the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Dave Refson, Howard Griffith, along with former IU coach Jerry DiNardo will be out there. That's something cool to do. BTN's college game day version. As Indiana plays their last non-conference game, looking to go to 3-1 on the season. Text into the show. Javonte Brown-Ferguson, 6'11" big, says he is working out an official visit to IU. He really likes IU, was recruited by Bill Comar. And the
recruiting of him has switched to Mike Roberts. He has 3 visits scheduled: UConn, Kansas, Texas A&M. He has 2 left. I used to get one of them. He's the 2021 class guy. He's the big. He's a need. But they need him now. It'd be nicer to get a kid in this class as we're in this open recruiting period right now still. Archie and crew are out on the road visiting. You got visits coming in this weekend. As a matter of fact, they're probably already here. It's Friday. I keep forgetting it's Friday. It's Friday, man. It's Friday. IU volleyball's on the road this weekend, don't forget. They are down in Tampa. Worst places to be. But right now, it's going to be 90 degrees here, so it doesn't really matter. But college basketball recruiting is in full steam. Schools are heading towards November, the early signing period. Archie Miller's out trying to put the finishing touches on this 2020 class. Point guard, of course, a major emphasis. I mean, Indiana's in desperate need of a backup point guard. Yeah, you've got Al Durham or Armand Franklin or even Trey Galloway, but those are not point guards. Devontae Green's a senior. He's going to be a shooter, man. He's going to be shooting that ball. Hassan Diarra has scheduled a visit to Bloomington on September 27th. So Archie has been chasing him for a while. You've also got Andre Curbelo. He's a Puerto Rican native. Attends Long Island Lutheran. And Miller has been there twice in the last 2 weeks. There you got Carter Witt, a recent offer from Raleigh, North Carolina. Of course, that's coming through the ties of Mike Roberts. He's currently in the class of 2021, but appears likely to reclassify. Cam Hayes just committed to Witt's hometown school, North Carolina State, which was thought to be a possible landing spot for him. So we'll see if that changes the deal. Logan Duncombe schedules a visit to IU. They offered the Ohio big man Logan Duncombe late July. 247 Wisconsin is reporting that Duncombe is planning a visit to the IU campus in September. He'll join Diarra and Bryce Hopkins, who Hopkins is in Bloomington as of today, I believe. That wraps up your little recruiting segment update. Hope you're up to date. But we got a lot more coming up here on the Toddfather. The Toddfather's next. Stay tuned, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back with more here on from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Good love fight for every day. Jump in the mud, get your hands filled.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Oh, man. He's going to get tired of that.
I am demanding new music. Making my first demand.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios. That means one and only thing. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, is with us. Todd, how are you, brother?
Man, I'm good. How are you today?
Can't complain. It's a little warm for September. I'm shocked.
If you're complaining about the heat, you're talking to the wrong person, because I'll take it this warm all year long.
No, I'm not complaining. Not complaining at all. Just surprised. But yeah, everybody's out playing golf yesterday. It's still a wonderful weather and people getting out.
Awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
Big things going on this weekend. I want to get to this first, Todd. Your good friend, former good friend, teammate Eric Anderson, going into the Indiana Athletics Hall of Fame tonight, man. Not a better, more worthier candidate than the Big E.
Yep, no, that's awesome for him. I wish obviously we all do that he could be here to enjoy that and let people love on him a little bit. He was so good at making everybody else feel better and always had that smile on his face. And he just was one of those people that it was tough to be in a bad mood when you were around him. And so he just is it's unfortunate for all of us that he's not here. I know he's in a better place, but it's just super unfortunate that he can't be here so he could understand how much people appreciated him.
Yeah, he seems like he was one of the most beloved teammates, definitely on that group that came through there. But he had a unique way of seems to bond a bunch of different types of personalities together, and that team had a ton of different personalities.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He, that was kind of one of the things. I mean, he was from Chicago, and I think he went to a Catholic school growing up in high school, and then coming to IU. I mean, it was just kind of funny. Like there was no race or color or position differences or playing time issues or anything with Eric. I mean, everybody was just whoever they were to him. He got along with everyone. And, it was kind of that lead by example type thing where, you wanted to be like Eric and you wanted to do the stuff that he did. You wanted people to like you like they liked Eric. And so, he was just he was kind of that happy-go-lucky type guy, but also I know he and I had talked about when his dad had passed away, and he could get very serious, but he always figured out a way to ask about you or ask about your family or figure out a way to spin the conversation back on you. And that's something that I hope I try to emulate a little bit. And he gets the credit for that because he was so good at it. And it just made people feel better when they were around him. And that's what I miss about him the most. And I think the teammates and people that he was around a lot miss about him the most.
And like I said, I talked about the different types of personalities. I mean, you seem like you were very conservative at that time. And then you got somebody like Jamal Meeks, who is Jamal, man. Jamal's just Jamal. And then you got a Pat Graham and so many different types of personalities. But they all worked in concert together. How is that possible? Is that because you had someone like Eric?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of different factors that go into that. It starts with Coach Knight. I mean, he kind of demanded that. And so, we knew what was expected. And then it came from the leaders and the older guys as you came in. I mean, I know we've discussed many times that we had 7 guys in our freshman recruiting class coming in. And so we relied heavily, even though maybe you wouldn't look at the stats today and think that the older players were as valuable to us as they were, but I mean, they were the reason why we ended up being as good as we were. And, they brought down the traditions that they had learned when they came in as freshmen and the older guys, which Eric was only 1 year older than us when we came in, but, he played a lot and won freshman of the year in the Big Ten. And so he was a big part, obviously, of those teams. And so he was a big part of when we came in of getting us all together and on the same page. And Jamal was a huge part of that also. I mean, I think I've told you before, Jamal made the statement right when we all got there that, we're all going to fight and battle and try to kill each other out on the floor. But the second we come back in the locker room, we're all buddies and teammates. I don't care if you were punching each other in the face out on the court. and truly that happened a lot. I mean, we had a lot of fights, maybe not punching each other in the face, but we had a lot of fights out on the court because that's how hard they wanted us to battle. And that's how hard we did battle. But then we come in the locker room and Jamal was great about forcing us to leave it on the court. And when we came back in there, we were all a brotherhood and teammates. And, Eric sat on one side of me in the locker room and Jamal sat on the other. And so I had the jokesters and everybody right around me all the time, which for me, I was very fortunate in that regard. I had, coming into the locker room, I had a lot of good leadership around me and I'll never forget that for those guys and everybody, kind of depending on where you sit in the locker room and who you spend a lot of time with, it changes your experience of what you had when you were there. I mean, Jamal and Eric were very important to me because they sat right next to me in the locker room and they told me a lot of stuff. A lot of it was honest and not, BS. And, you don't forget guys for stuff like that. And so, Eric was important to me, even though a lot of it was, probably unspoken and unsaid between the two of us, we knew it. And, that's why when, he passed away, it was emotional because I feel like it's something I didn't do in my life that I didn't ever take the time to go tell him how important he was to me. And, that's just something you regret and hopefully you learn from and don't let that happen again to other people in your life. I'm turning this into a real serious show, aren't I?
Hey man, it's actually good stuff, brother. This is what you call quality content. This is quality. Any surprise that Jamal Meeks is a coach today?
No, definitely not. I mean, he either should have been like a MMA fighter or he should have been a hype man for some rapper or he should be a coach because I mean, this dude can get you excited and going and he just has that ability and that quality. And it's Jamal is just one of those fun people to be around. And I'm telling you, if you, he made it, this is the difference. I mean, he and I were battling for position and playing time all the time on the court. I mean, obviously in stature, I weighed 175 pounds when I got to IU and Jamal weighed about 220 or 30. At least that's what he wrote down on the weight chart. He really weighed about 245, but
Well, that's where the Fat Boy Fit Club came
he would
from,
battle
man.
and beat the crap out of me out on the court. But when we came back in, I mean, he was the first one to give me a hug and say, keep battling, you're doing great and all that. And so, like I said, you just don't forget that stuff about people. And when you're at that point in your life at 18, 19, 20 years old and you're impressionable and, you get a guy like that that's willing to take the time out to pick you up a little bit in a time when you need it, you just don't forget that stuff. And Jamal was that for me also.
He's got the Fat Boy Fit Club going if you paid attention on Facebook.
He's got that. He fits all that category. He's Fat Boy Fit.
He's such a character. I love those things. They last about 30 seconds, but man, it's just like every day it's just a little chuckle. It gives you a nice little chuckle every day.
He is the funny part is he used to come in. I swear my blood alcohol content would go up in college just because I would sit next to him in the locker room. When he would come in, he would smell like a brewery in there half the time. And I swear just rubbing off on him in sweat, my blood alcohol content went up. So I've never let him live that down. He's just sweating out those beers right now from college. I can assure you that.
And all this fun, and what's that made for a fun team? It sounds like it made for a loose team, but more importantly, it made for a together team.
Yeah, we still went our separate directions. I mean, Damon didn't hang out with a lot of guys outside of basketball, and Alan and Greg Graham and those guys had joined a fraternity, and so they had to do a lot of stuff with their fraternities. I mean, we all had our own lives also, but when we needed something, when something was going down, we were all there, and we knew, it's like your family now. Your family is extremely loyal to you. Well, you may not spend every waking moment with them. They're still loyal to you to the death. And that's the way I felt like we were as a team. And that's kind of what I think as an IU fan, we're rooting for this team and for all of Archie's teams. I want there to be those Eric Andersons and Jamals in the locker room. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying we want to be able to visibly tell that and see that. And I think they're getting to that point, and I think the people they're recruiting will get them closer to that point.
That was my next question, a little good cop, bad cop, with me being the bad. This team has really been lacking that kind of leadership and camaraderie, it looks. Which I can't speak because I'm not inside the locker room, but from outside appearances, they have fun together. They show the videos and all that stuff, but there's more to that. This bond that you just talked about so much that was evident. That on-court leadership just seems like it hasn't been there.
Yeah. It does seem that way. I mean, I kind of have to say it the same way you do and preface it by saying I'm not in the locker room. And unless you are, you're really just kind of speculating based on what the result is we see out on the court. But I think there needs to be more of that. I love seeing, social media is different nowadays. You see the videos of those guys at the football games together and stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff you want to see. That's the kind of stuff that makes me feel better. I mean, I feel a lot better about that than what you might guess, because I like to see those guys like being together. They like to hang out together. When you were here, I know we listened to Archie Miller talk here, and when he talked about Romeo Langford coming back to Bloomington to work out and sleeping on Rob Finney's couch, I mean, that to me, that's great inside knowledge. That's great team togetherness that I'm not sure we thought was there. And so I love to hear that is the case. And that is something that's taking place and going on. I mean, you and I both know Romeo could have bought out the hotel floor if he wanted to, but he's choosing to hang out with his buddies and teammates. And that's a bond that they created. I'm not sure you and I would have thought they had that togetherness just based on what we saw out on the court. But I'm glad to hear that structure is there and that they do have that.
I know you have better things to do than to follow the everyday recruiting, but right now, obviously, Archie's got another scholarship to fill. But to me, the roster is unbalanced because they are severely lacking a big man for going forward because these guys, they're coming in next year. So we're looking at the 2020 class, but you've got Deron Davis, who's going to be gone after this season. You've got Joey Brunk, who's got 2 seasons left. 2 years from now, Trace Jackson Davis might be here or he might not. So to me, it's imperative that they get a big guy. But Archie's also been chasing a point guard for the last 2 years trying to get. And a text into the show asked, why is Archie changed? He talked about banking scholarships before, and as opposed to now, he's talking about oversigning. And personally, from the bad cop standpoint, it's because I think he says whatever fits it at the time. He couldn't get the scholarship filled last year. So, of course, he said he was going to bank it, which he did. But they just got to get better roster balance, I think, position-wise.
Yeah, I mean, that is you and I and the fans of the world trying to talk about basketball in the offseason because, we're making up a problem, in my opinion, at that point, because all of this is going to change. I mean, you can say you're going to bank a roster and all of a sudden you get a kid that wants to commit to you that you really, really want, then obviously you're going to change and you're going to, what you said yesterday might not be the case today, not because you lied yesterday. It's just the changing times and the way that the kids change their minds all the time. And, I don't know that we can look, we got to be pretty darn happy with the fact we've got Joey Brunk, who's got some college experience already and is older. And you and I heard Coach Miller talk about, his importance in the locker room. And so that's awesome. And then Trace Jackson Davis, I mean, how can we be possibly looking at it as a negative that he might be gone in 2 years? If that's the case, then he's going to have had a heck of a 2 years with us. And we should be looking at a lot of good stuff that's happened during that time. And that'll help you recruit. If you got a guy who has the ability to go get drafted in the first couple of, the first 15 picks of the draft, and he's a 6'10" or 11 guy, you're going to be able to recruit more 6'10" or 11 guys. And I don't think we can look at that as a negative. I don't think we can worry about planning down the road right now. I know they have to plan that. They have to be recruiting those guys. They're recruiting kids that are in the 7th and 8th grade right now. But I don't think we can look at it as we've got a roster void or something to fill, because right now I think if Trace Jackson Davis pans out the way that he, in all of our minds, should, then they're going to be pretty set for the next 2 years in the 4-5 position at IU, with Joey Brunk having 2 years and him being here for a couple of years. So those guys, if they do what you just said and they get drafted 2 years from now, that's only going to help spawn the recruiting and bring guys in that they want to bring in. And so I don't see how that could be anything other than a positive.
See, that's why we have the Toddfather on, so he can set it straight.
Just say you're always right, Todd. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear.
That's basically what I'm saying without saying it.
Yeah.
You are the man. What's going on this weekend with the Toddfather?
My better half at home, Jessica, is obviously a University of Georgia graduate, and we have our first real big football game of the year this weekend. So yes, I'm an IU fan and I love IU football, but in my household, I have to wear Georgia red and black on big game days. So I'll be supporting Georgia versus Notre Dame this weekend.
Yeah, that's a big matchup, man. Georgia's number 3 in the country. Notre Dame, number 7. Notre Dame maybe, I don't know if they're overrated a little bit, but
neither one of
Georgia
them
may
played
be
anybody,
the best
so you
team
really
in the
can't
SEC.
tell. Yeah, you can't tell how either one of them really are. They've not played anybody yet. So, they're going off a preseason ranking right now, which I know you have to do that. I just don't put a whole lot of stock into that. It's in Athens. That should give Georgia the advantage, but you never know in these games. That's why college football and college basketball to me are the best, because it's fun to look forward to that. And I'm just a sports nerd when it comes to this stuff, and I love looking forward to it all day today and tomorrow. I'll be nervous for Georgia, and I have no reason to love Georgia other than Jessica makes me all the time. So,
well, there could be at least she didn't go to Vanderbilt.
That's a great point. That's an excellent, or Ohio State. Should have gone to Ohio State. This would be a long distance relationship.
Oh man, Todd Leary, brother, I appreciate you. Love you to death. Thank you so much, man. Look forward to talking to you and seeing you soon.
Yep, me too. See you, buddy.
Have a good one. There's the Toddfather, Todd Leary, joining us as he does each and every Friday, man. It's always the fun part. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Tom Brew from Indiana
from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us next. Stay tuned. Back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
It's a common way to blame and hide the truth.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, here on this Friday, September 20th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope your week has been good and you're ready for the weekend because it's here whether you are or not. And we've got Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. Tom, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you this morning?
Great. Lots going on the Indiana Athletics lexicon tonight. The women's soccer team opens Big Ten play. Men's soccer opens Big Ten play. You've got the Indiana Athletics Hall of Fame induction tonight that will be taking in one of the greats of IU basketball, Eric Anderson. Just got off with Todd Leary, your good friend, a former teammate of his. But what a great dude he was. But, man, he was a special player too.
He absolutely was. I mean, no question about it. There wasn't really anything on the basketball floor that Eric Anderson couldn't do. And of course, even a better person than he was a basketball player. I never heard of anyone ever say a bad word about Eric Anderson. And certainly we've lost him way, way, way too early.
Yeah, I was talking to Todd about the unique band of characters on that team, man. I mean, Jamal Meeks, Pat Graham, Pat Knight,
Eric Anderson, it was just what a myriad of personalities on that team, but made that team, though, especially that 92 squad that went to the Final Four, that undoubtedly missing banner right there, man.
Oh yeah, they had. There were a few other guys in that team that were pretty good too, So the Calvert Cheneys and the Damon Baileys of the world, and Alan Henderson, and certainly we wrote about that extensively in our Missing Banners book, Terry Hutchins and I. And that 92 and 93 group was really, really special because they had there was just that was probably we probably haven't had a more talented team at Indiana since then, to be honest. We've had some other close calls and such, but those teams back-to-back years really did have a chance to win a national title. And obviously, 92, went further, but the 93 team, in my opinion, was probably even better. I mean, they steamrolled through the Big Ten, going 17-1, and just where they were awesome. And then Allen got hurt, and lost in the regionals to Kansas, which was a disappointing loss. But that team certainly had a chance to win a national championship as well.
Absolutely, a lot going on this weekend. The Hoosiers on the football field at noon tomorrow, taking on UConn in a game they hope to bounce back from last week's 51-10 loss to Ohio State. A lot of things to get accomplished for this Hoosier team. A lot of areas that need to be worked on, man, on both sides of the ball.
Well, I think that certainly, some of it got exposed, prior to that. But when you're playing a team as talented as Ohio State, that I was kind of hopeful that was going to be an Ohio State team that that maybe might struggle just a touch under Ryan Day as a new coach, but they're not missing a beat, man. I watched their first two games in preparation for the Indiana game. They looked awesome, and then of course they looked great against Indiana too. And I certainly see them as a team that could very easily run the table this year and make the playoffs. So they exposed a lot of Indiana's weaknesses in that game. And, as I wrote on my SI.com Indiana page earlier this week, it's one thing, to lose to Ohio State and try to flush that. But if you don't learn lessons from it, then it defeats the purpose of getting your ass kicked like that. And, so I think that, it probably won't come into play as much this week because Connecticut's not the same type of challenge that Ohio State was or Michigan State will be next week. But, these guys, Indiana guys, they just need to learn from that, that they need to be at their absolute best to compete at that level. And they need to do that all the time. And I think I kind of like the way this schedule is. They've got a chance now at home, comforts of home to take on an opponent they should be able, to run the ball against and should be able to move the ball against and should be able to defend well. But we'll have to see. They have to go out and do it. They had a lot taken away from them last week. A lot of pride taken away, a lot of emotion taken away, and they need to bounce back and have a good game this week, and then be prepared to really dive into the Big Ten schedule next week at Michigan State.
Of course, big question, obviously, Michael Penix. I fully don't expect that we'll see him play. Obviously, they don't need him in a game that they're a 27-point favorite in, but he needs the reps, and especially you'd love to be able to see him get some of those as they head into a game next week on the road that I think is very winnable by Indiana if Michael Penix is the quarterback.
Exactly, which is why I don't think he should play at all this week. I mean, I really don't. I mean, granted, he needs reps, but he needs to be healthy way more. And it's one of those things where he's not going to be effective against a Michigan State team if he's still banged up or he's still sore. So another week of rest, and then let him get all the reps he needs in practice, and that's good enough. It's good enough for me. Sure, you'd love to have a quarterback who can play 12 games a year, but if he's not 100% right now, let's give it another week and take it from there. And of course, kind of a bigger picture thing too. I agree with you. This is a very, when we talk a lot about, Indiana, making the move in the Big Ten East, from that bottom three to the top four, I mean, the most logical spot for that to start is to be better than Michigan State. And, and so it is a huge game. They need to do it, but I wish we knew more about his health because, what comes after Michigan State? A bye week, so, are we better? I'm not suggesting we do this in any way, but are we better off, with him sitting this week, sitting next week, sitting a bye week, and coming back 3 weeks from now and being 100% healthy in 7 weeks. For those last 7 weeks of the season, I don't know. So it's I wish we knew more about about how healthy he was, but you got to just sort of play it a day at a time and see what happens. But certainly, I'll be shocked if I see him on the field this Saturday.
Absolutely. And then now we think about, well, how much of Jack Tuttle will we see? And of course, that's probably going to be dependent upon what Indiana does, as if they are able to take care of business. I'd like to see him play the entire second half if they have that game in hand, because he's also a potential future cog in this offense.
Well, here's the thing with Jack on me. In watching all of fall camp, to me, it became clear that Michael Penix was the guy, but it also was very clear to me that Peyton Ramsey was a better quarterback than Jack Tuttle was.
Right now, for sure.
I know. But I mean, we've not, and even in the little glimpses we've seen of Jack, I mean, we have to be honest. I mean, he did not play very well in the last little bit against Ohio State when he was in there. He threw one horrible pass that should have been picked off. That was, right between the numbers of an Ohio State defender, and he dropped it. He did not play very well. And, now does he have the potential to be a pretty good player? Absolutely. But he hasn't seen football in 2 years. And, is it good to get him reps? Absolutely. But like to say that we have a better chance, Indiana has a better chance of winning a game if Tuttle's the quarterback instead of Ramsey. I just don't think we're there right now. But but does he need reps? Absolutely. Does it be good for him to be out on the field and play? Yes. But I think way too many people are looking at this game like it's going to be 35-0 at halftime. And I quite frankly, I think that I don't gamble on sports and I don't suggest anyone do it. But to me, I can't believe an Indiana team without Michael Penix would be favored by 28 points over anybody. So I mean, I don't think this will be a rout, and I don't think this will be a blowout. I would be a bit surprised if this is very similar to the Ball State game that started the season, where Indiana kept a lead, but it was a 7-point lead, a 10-point lead, things like that, where it was close, where even when we rolled into the fourth quarter, you still had to be concerned about the outcome of it. I see a game more like that on Saturday. I really do, where Indiana might win, 31-14 or 31-17, something like that. Connecticut is not Eastern Illinois. This is, if this is not going to be a 52-0 game. So, to presume that you can just put all those backups in there and play the entire second half, I just don't think that's going to be an option.
I agree with that. And a part of that is because the running game of Indiana has not been able to get on track yet. And I think that's something that they've really been working on, but hopefully is going to show itself this week and whether they've made any progress in that area or not. Because, man, they've got to get this on track, because even when Michael Penix comes back, you've got to relieve some of the pressure off the quarterback with having a running game.
Absolutely. And it's, in the story that I'm writing for later today on the 5 things I want to see Saturday, I mean, that's number one, first and foremost, that this running game has to get going. It's just, it was horrible in the first half of Ball State. It was much better the second half. It was okay against an Eastern Illinois team that you should be able to run against anyway, but they could do nothing against Ohio State. And, and it's just, and they, granted, Ohio State's, defense has probably got 3 first-round picks on it. So it's, they're that good. But still, Indiana needs to run the ball. I mean, it's and this is the week to start to prove that, because I think, in talking with offensive linemen this week and talking with running backs this week, and especially even talking with the offensive coordinator this week, it's got to get done. It's just flat out, it has to get better, and it has to get better right now. So I would expect to see some things that maybe they haven't shown yet, that maybe they wanted to keep in their pocket. They just can't do that anymore. They need to start getting some confidence in this running game too. And a lot of that comes with play calls. A lot of it comes with sticking to it. I mean, part of it too, if you don't have success running the ball the first 3 or 4 times, they tend to abandon that a little bit too quickly for my liking. And of course the score dictated that too with Ohio State, but I think they just need to kind of stick to it and really get after it. And we both know how talented Stevie Scott is, so they just need to give him some creases. And quite frankly, I'm expecting to see his first 100-yard game of the year on Saturday.
And one thing I think a lot of people, myself included sometimes, keeps forgetting, 80 of the 113 kids on this roster are underclassmen. It's an immature team, and they're going to do immature things.
Well, that's true. But, a lot of those 80 that we count too are redshirt sophomores, who have now been here for 2.5 years, and they've had a chance to learn quite a bit. And, I think we need to see more of that. Now, obviously, these last 2 recruiting classes have been better, so there's a lot of good young talent that's making its way to the field, and it's going to certainly pay dividends, certainly down the road, but also the remainder of this year as well. I mean, we're relying on a lot of good young kids, in certain spots to do things, and that's great for the future. But quite frankly, to me, it's all about the present right now. I want to see some big improvements on Saturday, and I want to see them be able to head into the Big Ten season, having a chance to win, half their games.
I know we probably don't have any listeners in St. Louis, at least none that I'm aware of, but I know you're heading off to St. Louis this weekend for a big book event.
That's okay. We'll catch people on that later, Jim. So, yeah.
Coming up, what do you got coming up on the site this weekend?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday's game. So,
what do you got coming up on the site this weekend?
Just for the weekend, we got, to take a look at today. I got a nice little breakdown on this UConn team that we really don't know much about. Kind of taking a look at their new freshman quarterback who's been kind of forced into action, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of what I'm looking forward to from the game, and then once the weekend rolls in around next week, we dive in headstrong into the Big Ten season. Got a lot of big looks as to what's going on there, and then of course basketball right around the corner. Looking forward to that to get rolling here in a couple of weeks as well. So,
absolutely, Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Jim. Talk to you soon, bud.
Have a good one. Have a great one. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana joining us there as we are heading toward the countdown of starting the weekend. It's Friday, man. It's Friday. Like I said, Indiana women's soccer kicking off things. Big Ten play today at 3 o'clock. If you're around Bloomington, head out to Bill Armstrong Stadium for the women, as they'll be taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. And then the men, shortly thereafter, 5:30, they open up Big Ten play against Wisconsin. A little strange. Usually a lot of times they'll do a same team thing to save on travel. But you got 2 different Big Ten teams coming in here today, as both the men's and the women's squads are opening up Big Ten play. Tonight you've got the Hall of Fame dinner, the Indiana Athletics Hall of Fame inductions going on. Eric Anderson, of course, we talked about him posthumously being enshrined into that great class of people, and then of course he's going in with 5 others from all walks of IU athletics life. Kay Burris was in field hockey and women's basketball coach in the 60s and the 70s. Chris Gartner from the football team in the early 70s. Jeff Overton, pro golfer from the early 2000, 2002 to 2005. Rose Richmond from women's track and field, early 2000s. And Donnie Thomas from the 73 through 75 football squad. So a lot of congratulations to all those folks and all those families who are getting to do that tonight. They'll be recognized tomorrow at noon tomorrow at halftime of the noon kickoff game with UConn. Don't forget the Big Ten tailgate parties going on tomorrow. You can go hang out with Dave Repson and Howard Griffith and former Indiana coach Jerry DiNardo, as they'll be set up on the west side of the Simon Scott Assembly Hall there between Memorial Stadium and the hall. They'll be doing their game day festivities there. That goes from 10 until noon. So if you're tailgating out in the area, go hang out. And, if you're coming to tailgate tomorrow, go to the game. Just go into the game. You can spare a couple hours of not being outside tailgating. It's such a fun environment out there. Lots of people tailgating over in the fields on the south side over there. I mean, that's a heck of a party. It's a great scene. But when it's time for the game, they're tailgating for the game. When it's time for the game, go into the stadium. Go support the football program. A lot of people on the north side, on the west side, and the east side. I mean, the stadium's surrounded with tailgating, which is cool. So text into the show, ask if you know anything about 6'9" Logan Duncombe visiting here in September. I think he is 2021, yeah. So there you go on that. But no, we got lots of new names bouncing around as Archie Miller is during this live period and crew are out there recruiting. We got visits going on this weekend. Guys coming in, guys scheduled to come in through all of September. Trying to remember that kid's name that's in this weekend. I forget, but oh well. Hope you've had a great week. We appreciate you joining us. What a great group of guests we've had again this week on the program today. With thanks to Tom Brew, thanks to the Toddfather himself, Todd Leary. Thanks to Jake for keeping us on the track. That's going to wrap it up. Hope you have a great weekend. Get out, watch a game, watch a high school football game tonight, and the Hoosiers tomorrow at noon as they take on UConn. Until Monday, for Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.